There's a unique kind of discomfort that comes from not having a clear label for who you are. For people born roughly between 1976 and 1985, that feeling was very familiar for a long time. You didn't quite fit into Generation X, and millennials didn't fully claim you either. You existed somewhere in between, in a space that didn't seem to have a proper name. Even personality quizzes or generational descriptions rarely felt accurate. They always seemed slightly off, like they were describing someone close to you, but not quite you. Researchers have debated whether small, in-between generations like this even matter. The term Xennial started gaining attention around 2014 after being mentioned in an article by Sarah Stankorb, and it resonated with many people. While academics didn't rush to formally recognize it, a lot of individuals quietly felt a sense of relief. Finally, there was a word that captured their experience. But this identity isn't just about remembering old technology while also using modern apps. It runs deeper than nostalgia. There's a psychological layer that makes this group distinct. One key difference is how boredom was experienced growing up. It wasn't the modern kind of boredom where you scroll endlessly and still feel unsatisfied. It was real, unfiltered boredom, staring at the ceiling, watching time pass slowly, with nothing to distract you. There were no quick fixes. You either entertained yourself, went outside, or simply sat with the feeling. Over time, your brain adapted. You learned that discomfort didn't always need to be solved instantly, and that creativity could come from within. Then everything changed. In your early adulthood, the digital world expanded rapidly. It wasn't just that technology appeared, it was the timing. This transformation happened while your brain was still developing. The prefrontal cortex, which plays a major role in decision-making, adaptability, and processing new information, continues maturing into the late 20s. Research has consistently shown this extended development period. That means many people in this group experienced a massive technological shift right in the middle of their mental and emotional development. And the shift itself was dramatic. In the mid-1990s, internet access was limited. Within about a decade, it became widespread. Society changed at a pace rarely seen before. Those in this in-between generation weren't fully shaped by the digital world, but they weren't completely separate from it either. They experienced both realities during a critical stage of growth. This led to something else important. They were likely among the last to have a largely undocumented youth. Mistakes, awkward moments, and personal phases weren't permanently recorded online. Embarrassing memories faded naturally over time instead of being preserved digitally. Human memory doesn't function like a video recording. It evolves. Each time you recall something, it can shift slightly based on who you are now. Over time, your past becomes a story you reshape. This generation had the freedom to let that process happen without a permanent digital record freezing moments in place. For younger generations growing up with constant online documentation, the psychological impact is still being understood. But it's clearly a different experience. There's also an economic factor that shaped this group. Many entered the workforce during unstable periods, including the dot-com crash and the 2008 financial crisis. Starting a career during economic downturns can have long-term effects, not just financially, but mentally as well. It often creates a lingering sense of uncertainty. Even when things improve, there's a habit of staying cautious, always preparing for potential instability. That mindset doesn't disappear easily. So you have a group that is highly adaptable, shaped by both analog and digital worlds, and quietly influenced by economic instability. One way to understand this is through the idea of bicultural identity. In psychology, this concept usually describes people who navigate between two different cultures. Studies have shown that this experience often leads to greater mental flexibility. If you apply that idea here, the two cultures become two different eras, the pre-digital world and the fully digital one. These weren't just different in tools. They had completely different expectations about communication, attention, privacy, and relationships. People in this group learn to operate in both systems. You can disconnect from technology without feeling lost, but you can also adapt to new digital tools quickly. You remember a time when making plans required effort and commitment, and you also understand the convenience of modern technology. Both versions of that experience exist within you without conflict. Every generation is shaped by its circumstances, but this particular group hasn't been discussed as much. Their experience sits at a turning point in history, a bridge between two very different ways of living. Many people today either don't remember life before the internet or can't fully imagine it. But this group carries both perspectives. It shows up in small habits, in how they communicate, and in how they approach the world. If you've been listening and recognizing yourself in these descriptions, it's probably not random. That sense of being in between is real, even if it hasn't always been widely acknowledged. For a long time, there wasn't a clear name for it. Now there is, and sometimes, just having that recognition can make a difference.